What's up, weirdlings? It's Friday, and you know what that means, and if you do, let me know, because I'm not entirely sure myself. I just learned some horrible news, everybody. StumbleUpon is closing down June 30th. For those of you who don't know, StumbleUpon was an amazing site. Started in 2002, and the idea was super simple. You just click a button and you would stumble upon just something random that was aligned with your interests. It was a great idea and it was a great site, and I spent hours on StumbleUpon back in the day. I would just stumble onto an article about linguistics, and then I might stumble onto an article about Mars. It didn't matter, it was just outside of what I would normally look at, and it was great to dig into it. But times have changed. Social media has us all doing the same thing we do every day in a routine over and over again. We sit within our little views, and that's what we look at. We don't really take the time to go out and really reach outside of that. StumbleUpon is moving all of their users over to a new platform called Mix over at Mix.com, and I just got an account on there and I was playing around with it a little bit, and who knows, maybe I'll play around with it some more. It's supposed to be the spiritual successor to StumbleUpon, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe it's something that I do spend a lot of time with. But this whole thing of StumbleUpon leaving really got me thinking about Legion, believe it or not. That's right, the TV show Legion on FX gets me thinking a lot. If you're not watching that show, you need to watch that show. There's some heady stuff in there. This latest episode of Legion was talking about delusions, because they do that sometimes. They were talking about a delusion that you can get basically if you experience reality and life through a lens. Because if you experience your reality and life through a lens, when you're actually confronted with real reality, not through that lens, you reject it as incomprehensible. It's not something that you can really grasp because it doesn't fit into what your experience of reality has been. It's essentially a modern version of the Platonic allegory of the cave, where when people experience reality as nothing more than shadows coming in from the entrance to the cave, when they actually face reality, they can't comprehend it. Suddenly, there's a sun and there's color. All they saw before was shapes and shadows, and it didn't make sense, and their brains couldn't comprehend what reality really was. Legion was making some really not so subtle jabs at the fact that we live our lives through a lens of social media. We're always on our sites, we're always looking at our devices, and that's how we experience things. And while I don't think that it's necessarily that degree of delusion that we're dealing with, I do think that we can get into that problem where when we experience life just through this lens that we have accepted and we've framed, we really start to distance ourselves from what the reality could be. I used to have a thing where I would get in the car, full tank of gas, and just drive. And whenever I got to a point where I knew what was on one side and I didn't know what was on the other side, I always went that direction. I wanted to see where I ended up. I wanted to learn more about this town. I wanted to meet new people, see new places, do new things. And I want to encourage you to do that as well. I know there are some of you out there that will say like, that's out of my comfort zone. I don't like that. I'm like, I get it. I get it. I do. I've been there. I'm also gonna say I sincerely think it's important to you as a person to take the time to get lost. Either go out in the woods and get lost with foodstuffs and a compass. We don't want you getting like lost. Or take the long way home, or get in your car and drive, or just get on the internet and do something different. Check out a different channel on YouTube. Check out a new website. Follow somebody new. Look outside of your lens so that your reality is going to be a better reflection of what's really going on in the world. Because I personally don't want to live in a cave, and I'm pretty sure that none of you do either, and unfortunately if we keep looking at life through these lenses that are distorting our reality, we might end up back there, not metaphorically speaking.